Godot 4.7 is here, and we have quite a few exciting new features to look at. So let's start with some useful ones. You can now right-click to cancel rotations and zooms, returning back to the previous position. Tab splitters are now incredibly easier to move around, allowing you to grab them right at the cross-section to change their sizes. And you can now use trackball rotations right inside the editor. Just toggle this icon and drag the model to rotate it towards the mouse, for a much better experience. You can even double press the rotation hotkey to toggle between rotation modes. Posing your skeleton rigs within the editor is now much more intuitive, and you can now search any fields with more than 10 items to quickly find what you're looking for. No more suffering to find that right bone. And speaking of good things, the output dock buttons has been moved down, allowing you to make them take much less space now. And if you ever get annoyed by the animation player opening by itself, you can now pin the docks closed to avoid Godot opening anything by itself. Besides that, arrays now make much better use of their space to display the variables inside. The project manager now shows your project versions and if they need an upgrade. Then, we also have a brand new asset store, which now has likes and even user reviews inside the new website. You can quickly see if the item will work for you, download older versions, and see recent changes to it. Back to the editor. You can now preview generated maps for your textures to see what their quality is all about. And viewports now finally have access to nearest filtering. Giving your games that classic retro look has never been easier in Godot. You can now hold B to use the new Snap to Vertex feature, dragging a node and snap its vertex to another. You can also use the Snap to Origin. This lets you hold B and click other object's vertex to change this one's position instead, which can be very useful. 2D now has a brand new paint mode. You can select saved scenes and quickly place multiple copies of them with a single click now, making game levels that much easier to set up and build. It is easy to switch between types, and you can even make simple adjustment to the nodes before placing them. The animation player now has collapsible nodes, and the performance of animated 2D polygon has been greatly improved. Atlas textures now support styling. And the region editor selection has had quite a few improvements. It now lets you drag around the selection region instead, which is much more useful than before. One-way collisions have been upgraded, and you can change which direction the collisions are from, giving you much more control. You can toggle filters while adding nodes to search for editor classes or to see only your custom classes. But that's not all. Shaders now allow you to create multiple uniform groups, so you can stay organized. And we got the incredible new shader preview. It lets you set breakpoints inside your shader to see what's happening at any point in time. Now you can debug your shader's problems with much more ease. Grid maps now have a reset rotation button and hotkey, just in case you get lost while rotating things around. And you can now manually edit the mesh libraries, to quickly add, remove, or change existing tiles without having to recreate the whole mesh library from a scene. You can now copy whole categories between objects to quickly paste values around. Cameras can hide their preview image now, and you can pilot your camera's preview right into position to adjust your game's view much easier. And you can now use the taskbar loading feature for Windows and Mac. This lets you show a green progress bar, a yellow pause overlay, or a red error one for taskbar icons. Dragging nodes in the scene tree has now a better indication where they will be placed. And searching the inspector now automatically collapses results found inside categories. And much more. Simple primitive meshes like cylinder, capsules, and cubes now have gizmos to change their sizes, just like CSG nodes. While CSG types now have a brand new auto smooth property to adjust them to your style. Have you ever wanted to fix a parent scaling mistake you made? You can now pin the parent's transform and make it not affect children nodes, so you can fix the scale while keeping the children nodes intact. 3D curves can now finally snap their points to colliders. Now creating and modifying curve points is much more intuitive. But control nodes also had some improvements. You can now change their positions without having to fight with the container, a very useful feature for creating UI animations. Gradient 2D now has a conic fill mode. The rich text label now has size-aware image size. The images inside will match the font size now. Control nodes now have a custom max size to give you a better control of your UI systems. You can use that to make sure your separators are treated differently and keep your buttons close. You can now change the selection rect color to any color you want, and make Godot look the way you want. Twins have a new await method. This lets you wait for custom signals to advance their actions, which can be very useful for quickly animating things from code. There is now a ready-made joystick control node. Just drop it inside your game, and you got a mobile joystick control now. You can change how they act, and customize it for what you're looking for. The audio bus has a new look that better shows the currently playing audio levels. Ever wonder what hidden hotkeys Godot has? Now dragging nodes inside the viewport builds play the available ones to you, even giving you warnings and errors, showing you why that can't be done. This even works for the script tab. The docs had its formatting changed, and you can now triple-click labels to select the whole paragraph. The particle system has been improved again, and you can now give particles rotations, as well as changing their scaling. And of course, this also works for 2D. The 3D ruler can now become much more precise by holding Shift. And we got 3D area lights now to illuminate your scenes in all their glory. And you can press F twice to make the camera follow the selected node while you move it around. The clear cold shader has been reworked and improved. And there is now a drawable texture 2D, with simple bleed methods to draw textures into them. And you can use the new bleed shader to process images before they are copied. Editor shortcuts can now be searched for their paths now. And the autoload interface has changed a bit. You can now directly create autoloads from the settings menu. The remote debug inspector is much better now, allowing you to close sections and now properly understanding classes and enum names. GD extensions now show the required Godot version inside the project settings, and build templates can now be individually downloaded. Android builds now have access to the picture-in-picture feature. You can control what happens and when this is allowed from code. And Godot finally have access to controllers, accelerometers, and gyroscope inputs, as well as a more robust input system internally, and much more control. But that's it. Just a quick look of some of the new things of this new release. I hope you liked this video, and until next time.